This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998. In the aftermath of Mecha Sonic's defeat, Metal remains where he is for a time, unable to move a single servo while his systems undergo the reboot process. This unfortunately gives Sonic just the opportunity he needs to continue his pursuit of Dr. Eggman, though before he goes, he gives his mechanical double a thumbs up, and thanks him, saying he would have had a hard time beating Mecha without his help. Loathing fills Metal at these words, as he glares at Sonic's retreating back. He absolutely did not help him, no matter what the Hedgehog may think, something he will make abundantly clear when he destroys him during their next encounter. A moment later, functionality begins slowly returning to Metal's body, allowing him to stand as his internal diagnostic subroutines clear him to return to the hunt. And it is fortunate that they do, as at that moment, the entirety of Sky Sanctuary is coming down around Metal, with the tower Sonic sped up having already crumbled, meaning the android cannot follow him. Thankfully, due to having made use of the warp point as well as his speed while racing the blue rodent up to this platform, the Death Egg has not yet risen too far above Metal, meaning all it takes is a short burst from his jet engine to ascend into the space station before it leaves the atmosphere. Knowing his master will be in the central control room, Metal makes haste towards the middle of the Death Egg, with none of the robots present attempting to hamper his progress, as they all recognize him as an ally. In no time at all, Metal finds himself stepping into the Doctor's inner sanctum, though his greeting is hardly the one he had hoped for, as in the poor lighting, his master initially mistakes him for Sonic just as Knuckles did, with this triggering a monologue from the Doctor until Metal steps forward so that his face can be illuminated by one of the video monitors. At once, Dr. Eggman's demeanor shifts, going from hostile to shocked, as he demands to know what the robot is doing here. In response, Metal simply takes a knee and bows his head, his intention clear, to resume his service to the Doctor now that he has returned, and the usurper is dead. Metal does not blame his master for creating a substitute, as it was only logical that he would require a new right hand with Metal himself out of commission, instead placing all culpability on the shoulders of his inferior doppelganger Mecha Sonic for daring to try and take his place. However, now that he is back, there is no need for such pale imitations, since he is more than capable of carrying out the Doctor's will. Though Metal says none of this, Eggman with his 300 IQ is able to read it all in the android's eyes, and more importantly, he is able to come up with a way to exploit these errant emotions, adopting a proud smile and welcoming his prodigal creation home. This warm reception fills Metal with joy, more than enough to finally drown out that uncomfortable doubt that had been playing in his mind since defeating Mecha, as it is only natural that his master would be happy to see him. After all, he is his greatest creation. Unfortunately for Metal, this reunion is promptly cut short when the Doctor turns his attention back to the screens, before pointing at several where a blue blur is streaking from robot to robot, easily destroying them before continuing on its way. In a tone of deepest loathing, the Doctor declares that Sonic the Hedgehog is already more than halfway through the Death Egg, and so he needs Metal to head him off, and keep him in one place long enough for him to come back him up with his giant Eggman Robo. Eager to prove his continued value to his master, Metal nods and rises to his feet. Then without a word, he takes off, moving at top speed towards Sonic's last registered position. Once again, the journey is no issue for Metal, with him soon spotting Sonic and locking onto him, so that as the Azure speeds to push us forward, he is sideswiped by his mechanical double. Rebounding off a nearby wall, Sonic quips that he didn't expect to see Metal again so soon, though it seems he's up to his old tricks and working for the Doc again. Honestly not the brightest move, since he already discarded him once according to Tals and Amy. Crimson Eyes flashing with fury, Metal goes on the attack, boosting forward and swinging a punch at Sonic's face. Though exhibiting his own speed and dexterity, the Hedgehog manages to spin dash out of the way, before taunting that old Metalhead's gotta do better than that if he wants to catch him. Growing more riled by the second, Metal next attempts a jet-powered kick, though once again Sonic dodges, leaping upwards then coming back in for a homing attack that he hopes will down the droid, and let him get back to work hunting down Eggman and the Master Emerald. However, here Metal has a surprise up his sleeve, as at the last moment he crosses his arms, activating his black shield, and sending the rodent bouncing into the roof with his own speed now being returned to him as damage. Nonetheless, rather than being deterred, Sonic grins that this is what he's talking about, since Metal is still one of the toughest guys he knows. Too bad he's a bad guy, since after how they took down Mecha Sonic together, he bets they'd make a sweet team. Metal does not dignify this with a response, instead using the time Sonic wastes flapping his lips to close the distance between them and drive a steel-plated knee into his nemesis' stomach. Though, as he will learn, Sonic is not called the fastest thing alive without good reason, as a split second later the Hedgehog has recovered and retaliated, dropping a two-handed hammer blow into Metal's chrome cranium, sending him hurtling back to the ground where the Hedgehog soon joins him. Staggering back to his feet, Metal then charges at his foe once again, immediately accelerating to Mach 1 in an attempt to shatter Sonic's bones upon impact, though this is simply met by equal speeds from the Hedgehog, resulting in a sonic boom erupting at the point of their collision and sending them both flying backwards. However, being perfectly matched in their tenacity, the two fighters simply use this to rev themselves up further as they bounce off corresponding walls and come back in for another go, this time successfully socking each other in the jaw at the exact same moment. This brings both Metal and Sonic to an abrupt halt as they continue to bury their fists in the other's face, though this is hardly a concern, at least not for Dr. Eggman, as he arrives on the scene in his giant Eggman Robo and praises Metal for holding the blue rodent at bay. He then attempts to crush Sonic with a Robo's colossal hand. Though zipping away from this attack with ease, Sonic retaliates by using his spin dash to cleave through several of the giant machine's fingers. Cursing furiously, Eggman then orders Metal to dispatch the rat, an order the loyal android is all too happy to obey, shoulder charging Sonic in the back and sending him stumbling forward so that he is easy for his master to smack. Laughing maniacally, the Doctor praises Metal and tells him to do that again, though having figured out their pattern, Sonic is able to avoid the follow-up attack before getting a little payback as he kicks Metal from behind so that it is he who stumbles into Eggman's attack. Even with his titanium body, this hurts, knocking Metal off his feet and resulting in him leaving a deep divot in the Death Egg's floor as he goes sliding across the corridor. Nonetheless, he does not blame his master for this mistake, as surely it must have been that, as he had been preparing to strike Sonic, and it had been his own failure to stop the blue nuisance that had resulted in him taking the blow instead. Meanwhile, Sonic resumes his clash with the not-so-good Doctor, using his speed to slice through the remaining fingers on the giant Eggman Robo, and forcing him to unveil the War Machine's secret weapon, a giant laser cannon in place of its mouth, powered by none other than the Master Emerald. He then opens fire, letting loose a beam of blue energy twice the size of Sonic, and while the Hedgehog is able to avoid it, Metal in his prone state cannot. As the beam of energy shoots towards him with no sign of stopping or hint of intervention from his master, the android is forced to face a rather difficult truth. Dr. Eggman does not care about him. He did abandon him all those months ago. It was he who chose to replace him, not Mecha Sonic, and now he has deemed his creation expendable, so long as there is a chance he can finish off Sonic. All of Metal's fervor, his devotion, his loyalty, have in the end amounted to nothing, just like him. Consigning himself to oblivion, Metal goes to close his eyes and accept his fate. Though, this is all stopped when he feels a pair of gloved hands lift him up, followed by a sudden rush of speed as he is deposited out of the laser's path. Looking up, he finds his savior to be none other than Sonic, and feeling compelled to speak, he utters a single word: why? Flashing his double a grin, the Hedgehog simply replies that us Sonics gotta stick together, before giving Metal a gentle punch on his steely shoulder. Then, before more words can be exchanged, the blue blur is gone, already back in the fight, using a homing attack to strike the laser cannon while it is cooling down after that last attack. From the sidelines, Metal watches as a complex mix of emotions flood through him. Anger is naturally one of the most potent, as such betrayal by his maker deserves nothing less. Though there is also the same deep sadness he felt during his months alone, as some seemingly malfunctioning logic circuit attempts to rationalize the Doctor's actions in a way that make them not his fault, and mean he can maintain his loyalty to the man he had up until recently considered his master. However, in the face of Eggman's disloyalty, Metal knows that those days are over. Now he will exact retribution upon the man who used and betrayed him, making him rue the day he turned his back on his greatest creation. Being the sort who figures actions speak louder than words, Metal wastes no time inventing some of this newly directed fury on the giant Eggman Robo, blasting off and landing a kick on the laser cannon to further damage it, before touching down beside Sonic. Speaking of the Hedgehog, at the sight of what Metal just did, he flashes him a grin, stating it's about time he realized what a no-good two-timing jerk Eggman is. As is his way, Metal says nothing to this, seeing no need to confirm what they both already know, instead turning his attention to going in for another shot at the cannon. However, this time Eggman has a counter in place, blasting the android with fire from his Robo's nose. Though due to his armor plating being designed to withstand the heat and friction of supersonic speeds, this is at most a minor inconvenience to Metal, as he strikes the same place he did last time, causing the barrel of the cannon to warp. Seeing what Metal is doing, Sonic joins in, spin dashing into the dent his doppelganger has made, thus making it even worse. As a result, when Eggman goes to open fire again, the laser is not able to smoothly travel through the barrel, instead getting caught inside it and detonating, with the only casualty of the attack being the giant Eggman Robo. Unfortunately, being the tricky cockroach that he is, Eggman is not without a contingency, revealing that his Eggmobile was housed inside the Robo's cockpit, so that as the mech crumbles, he is able to escape with the Master Emerald. Were that not bad enough, the explosion of the giant Eggman Robo has set off a chain reaction, causing the Death Egg to begin falling to pieces, and though their motives may be different, both Sonic and Metal recognize that this means their window to stop Eggman is rapidly closing. Taking off as though they were racing, the pair of blue blurs chase after Eggman's Eggmobile, while behind them, the ground they were just standing on falls away, putting them mere moments ahead of calamity. Nonetheless, neither is the type to be worried by such things, with them instead taking turns to leap up and slam into the Eggmobile, while a rather irate Eggman yells at them to stop it, calling them both vexing vermin. Paying this no mind, the duo then prepare a double-strength homing attack, in which Sonic will launch himself into a spinning metal, so that when he homes in on Eggman, it will be with twice as much force, concentrated into a single point. Knowing how devastating this could prove, Eggman makes one last attempt to sweet-talk his creation, frantically claiming that the only reason he didn't stop the laser was because he knew he was strong enough to survive it, and that he'd like nothing better than to have the robot be his second command of the Eggman Empire once he's conquered the world. However, the time for such bribery is over, with Metal simply giving his former master one last look with those blazing red eyes of his before starting his spin, so that when Sonic smacks into him, he shoots forward like a cannonball and punches a hole clean through the Eggmobile. Thanks to this damage, the lower half containing the claw with the Master Emerald falls away, allowing Sonic to grab it, while Metal lands a short distance away, that complex mix of emotions coming back as he watches his creator begin falling to earth in a half-destroyed vehicle. However, now is not the time for such deep reflection, as with the Death Egg re-entering the atmosphere and falling apart faster than ever, the two Sonics need to get off it now if they mean to survive. Running up to join Metal at one of the impromptu exits made by the Death Eggs failing out of structure, Sonic gives his double a quick shove before leaping out after him, the Master Emerald still held firmly in one of his hands. For a moment, the pair experience pure weightlessness as they plummet towards the onrushing ground, though before it can claim them, something rises up from below. The tornado piloted by Tails, as he positions himself beneath the two Sonics so they may land safely on the plane's wings. Grinning broadly, Sonic calls his friend's timing perfect, saying he knew he could count on him, while in contrast, Metal says nothing, instead simply surveying the destruction all around him with an impassive expression. Touching back down on Angel Island, Sonic and Tails do not hesitate to present Knuckles with the Master Emerald, causing the Echidna to gruffly state that he guesses he misjudged them, and that he shouldn't have let Eggman manipulate him. Laughing heartily, Sonic tells the Red Ruffian not to sweat it, and that he can make it up to him by buying him a chili dog, though all levity is quickly stripped from the situation when the trio of animals hear the sound of Metal's jet engine whirring to life. At once, Sonic and Knuckles each take defensive stances, ready to fight if need be, while Knuckles demands to know if the android's gonna try and steal the Master Emerald now. In response, Metal simply shakes his head. Then, as is the reason he had powered up his engine, he flies off, making it abundantly clear that he does not want the Echidna's treasured emerald. In truth, he does not know what he wants now that Eggman is gone and he is without direction, though one thing is certain, he means to find out, and will keep going as long as it takes to discover his own purpose. And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.